All right, the present perfect simple tense is formed by the verb have or has. So have for most of the for most subjects, and then has for the third person singular subject, plus the past participle. And if you recall, the past participle is identical to the past simple, the past simple form in regular verbs. But in irregular verbs, it is not identical to the past simple form. So really, it's a matter of memorizing the form. All right, let's look at the first function. The first function is action or situation that began sometime in the past and continues to the present. For example, I've lived in Geneva for over 35 years. So the implication of this sentence is that I'm still living there because it's an action that began in the past, but it continues to the present. Another example is he has been an OPP officer since 1982. And again, the implication is that he's still an OPP officer. A second function of this tense is a recently completed action. Guess what? John has just won the lottery. So this is something that has happened very recently. And therefore you don't have to, you could say just. You could use the word just to emphasize the fact that it has happened very recently. But you could also use this tense for this function without just. A third function is an action that has occurred at an unspecified time in the past and may recur in the future. So keep in mind that it's an unspecified time in the past. So if you're using the present perfect simple tense with this meaning or function in mind, you can't specify the time. All right. So here's an example. I've seen that movie 5 times. Okay. So I haven't specified when I saw the movie. So therefore it would be incorrect to say I've seen that movie yesterday, because by saying yesterday, you've specified the time. And so going back to the example, I've seen that movie 5 times. The implication of this is I may see it again in the future, you see. So obviously, you cannot make the subject someone who's dead, right? Like, let's say John has passed away. You can't say John has seen that movie 5 times because he's not going to see it again. He's dead. Right? The implication is that he can see it again in the future. So therefore, it wouldn't make sense if you use a subject that is dead. He has read every one of Shakespeare's plays. Again, I haven't specified when, and the implication is that he may reread Shakespeare's plays in the future. In other words, that time period is not over. And in this case, that time period is his life. All right, now let's turn to the present perfect progressive tense. So we'll start by looking at how it's formed. We form this tense by adding the verb have or has, depending, of course, on the subject, plus the verb been, which is the past participle form of the verb to be, and the present participle, which is the ing form of the verb. The main function and purpose of this tense is to emphasize the continuous nature of an action which began sometime in the past and has continued to the present. So, for example, I've been living here for 10 years. And like the progressive tense, the present progressive or the past progressive tense, the present perfect progressive tense also is generally not used with state verbs. So therefore, you wouldn't say, I've been seeing that movie 5 times. Because seeing is a state verb. It describes a state and not a normal action.